A fellow recruiter asked me what's the difference between a software developer and a software engineer. Probably because in our mind map I wrote an engineer, a software engineer right here. So this is the mind map with all the IT roles, and sometimes I just sort of casually talk about software developers. So, to clarify this confusion, I have decided to record this video because there may be more of you recruiters, HR professionals, talent acquisition specialists, headhunters, talent hunters who may not know what the difference actually is. So watch this video to learn what it is. You can see several roles in this worksheet on the page number 14. So the roles are, for example, a programmer, coder, backend developer, software engineer. So there are a lot of roles or different titles for pretty much the same person, right? Say a Node.js developer could be referred to as a backend developer or a backend software developer, backend web developer. So what I'm trying to say is that in IT, there is no clear way to label a particular role, as in, for example, with accounting, right? You have an accountant and it's just an accountant, right? With development, you have all these different titles and roles, even though the same person, the same IT professional may sit on the chair, right? But we may label him with different titles. The same title another title could be on his work agreement and another title on his or her LinkedIn profile, right? So and that's completely okay because it's not set in stone in IT. So if you think about the difference between a software developer and a software engineer, what I observed is that there is a lot of confusion out there. Also, countless of blogs on Google you can find, right? Blogs elaborating on this difference and trying to find out what the difference is. For example, some say that the developer is only responsible for part of the development process, while the engineer has this broader view of the software lifecycle. That may not be really the case. If you talk to a few developers, they can say no, I'm also overseeing the whole development process. So there are lots of opinions out there, and it's good, right? It's good to have an opinion, but the question is if it is helpful at all, right? Because we recruiters or HR professionals, we may try to overanalyze it, right? And find something somewhere where probably there is nothing. But if you talk to developers, they may have slightly different thought process, right? They may refer themselves as developers because they develop software, right? So they are software developers developing software. Some may refer to as engineers because their colleagues are engineers, so it's sort of natural for them to also call themselves as engineers, right? But they may not even know why. So what I'm trying to also say is that I would not overanalyze this. Probably the major difference I would see here is that those software engineers have a degree from a university, so they graduated from a computer science study, so they have a degree and they are computer science engineers, so then they refer to themselves as software engineers. But if you open up LinkedIn, you will find lots of people, lots of developers who have either not graduated from a computer science university degree and they still refer to themselves as software engineers, or you will find people who have graduated from some other field of study and yet they have some degree but not computer science degree, yet they are still software engineers on LinkedIn. So it's not black and white. It's not like with doctors or lawyers where you have the degree, so then you are this kind of a professional. In IT, it's sort of vague. So I would not bother too much with this. Rather take it as something that is vague. You don't need to find, or you don't need to struggle to find logic where there may not be any. So don't bother too much with this, and rather work with what you have. You have a set of different titles or roles for the same person. So just work with this when you are looking for those developers. Make sure that you, for example, in the Boolean search string, you include both developer or engineer. Make sure that you work with this, and when you interact with the hiring manager, make sure that you ask if it is really important to have the degree or not. Because these days, lots of people enter the IT market, IT job market, and they just sort of graduate from boot camps. So they learn how to develop software, but they may not spend 5 years studying computer science, which is also okay, right? You don't need a computer science degree to build up some website these days. However, there is time and space for everything, so the computer science degree may be essential for some of those more advanced roles, for some high-tech products. So just keep this in mind next time you are onboarding a new client, and ask really, like, why is it important for the candidate to have the computer science degree? Are we really looking for an engineer who has graduated computer science, or are we good with someone who has studied some program online and worked as 2 or 3 years as a developer? Okay, so that's my take on the difference between the software developer and a software engineer. Don't stress out too much about this, and rather focus on getting candidates, more candidates. Okay, have a wonderful day, everyone. And if you need any help with tech recruitment, if you are a recruiter, join our next program, the Tech Recruitment program. You can just go to our website and learn more about the next cohort, the techrecruitmentprogram.com. You can join this group of 20 recruiters. It's usually fun. I organize these programs every 2 months. And if you are a business, or if you are a hiring manager looking for IT professionals, we can also help with that. So you can schedule a strategy call with me, and I will walk you through different options that you have these days through either engaging a sourcer to bring you more qualified leads, or organize campaigns for you, or we can also arrange everything for you so you get the top 3 or top 5 candidates for each vacancy. Okay, so just look for the links below this video, and either join the program or schedule a strategy call with me.